I feel like I look not like myself. Am I the de-influencer? I don't think I'm a de-influencer. Maybe I'm the de-influencer. Let's talk about it. Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is hautemesstom and thank you so much for clicking on this video. If you are new here, well, we're going to talk about what I do on my channel. Okay, and so I'm not going to really give that up front. I'm going to ask you to watch this video because we're going to kind of unpack it as we go. But if you're new to my channel and throughout this video, if you feel so inclined to, I would love to have you subscribe. I promise that you'll get to know me and what I do throughout this video. So I would love to have you subscribe. Make sure you like this video. That's the best way to support me and any other creator that you appreciate on this platform. And commenting is also really great too if you have things to say. And I'm also on patreon.com if you would like to support me there. I appreciate everyone who is a current patron, but there is absolutely no pressure to become a patron of mine. Being here, watching my videos, liking them, and commenting is an absolute wonderful way to support me. I know I already thanked them just a second ago, but I'm going to thank them again. Thank you, dearest patrons. I am using a new to me microphone, but I did inherit it from a person who's dead, and I have no idea how old this microphone is. I did some mic checks. It sounds okay, but I don't think it's my best audio quality, so I apologize if that's annoying, but I'm hoping that it adds some, something fun and unique. Look at it. Look at it. How could I not try? It's really small though. I do kind of miss the bulkiness of my other microphone. Hi, let's talk about de-influencing. So this is a minimal sass, and minimal sasses are always meant to be a conversation. I'm not here to say that I'm the final word on this or that I have all the answers to the conversation that we're about to have, but I'm going to give you my input on the de-influencing trend, what I think of it, how I'm feeling about it, my concerns about it. Let's just jump into it. Recently, I was talking to my friend Artemis the Android on Instagram, and I messaged them and I said, I'm really concerned that at some point I'm going to be lumped into this de-influencing trend. And they were like, why do you feel that way? And so we had a little bit of a back and forth about it. And I debated having this conversation because it's a conversation that's a little bit done to death at this point. A lot of the people that I'm subscribed to talk about it either in a full video length capacity or in like a Q&A capacity. So I've seen a lot of creators, and I will link some videos where I've heard this conversation be had down below. I've seen Imperfectly M. They did a video on it. Kaki did a whole video on it. And I feel as though if I am not a de-influencer, I am somewhere adjacent to it. And I'm going to explain why I have some hesitations about being lumped into that category. Not that anyone's directly said it about me, but, and I feel like I'm trying to get ahead of something here, but I wouldn't call myself a de-influencer. So let's start defining things. What is an influencer? To be a de-influencer, we have to define what an influencer is. Let's use the concept of beauty influencers for the purposes of this video, as that is what I would consider myself and what the work a lot of the people who do something very similar to me would be. Beauty influencers. Beauty influencers, what they do is they buy or get makeup sent to them in PR. They try it, they review it, and they give that information to their subscribers. Now, there are various ways that one can do that, and that can look very different. It can vary either somewhere from an over-exaggerated, you absolutely need this, to an over-exaggerated, absolutely not, you shouldn't buy this ever. But we all know that influencers make more money if their subscribers, if the people who follow them, click on those affiliate links and buy things through them. And that's not a secret. I'm not telling you anything that you don't know. I'm not giving you any tea. I'm not spilling anything. People who push product make more money. What is de-influencing? Well, de-influencing would be the opposite of that. So people who sit here and tell you not to buy anything, not to buy anything. That, in my opinion, de-influencing would be the act of saying that you do not need to buy anything. And I mean anything. Not a substitution, anything. What have I noticed in the de-influencing trend? Now, if you are unfamiliar with this trend or you see a bunch of creators talking about it and you're not on TikTok, let me set the scene a little bit. I don't know that I have like the fullest of scope because I've seen it kind of go in two directions on TikTok. This all kind of started when Michaela Nogueira did a partnership with L'Oreal, and there's many, many videos about that. If you want to learn more about that, you absolutely can. And we're going to make some parallels, but not that Michaela was the thing that started this, and maybe there were people who were talking about de-influencing before this, but I think that I am referring to Lashgate in this particular scenario, and I did not say that explicitly. So the TLDR is Michaela did a partnership with L'Oreal for their new mascara. And in her video, she applied false lashes off camera. And people felt really duped by that and felt that was really disingenuous. And that's not the conversation we're having here, but that is what happened. And I think what started this was like the straw that broke the camel's back for many people. And that is why the de-influencing trend became so popular on TikTok. Here's what I have seen people do in the de-influencer trend. Taking a product that might be popular or really hyped on the internet and saying that it is just bad and do not buy it. It's bad and it's not worth your money. It is bad. Then there's other people who said, don't buy this $40 thing, buy this $10 thing. And so those are the kind of two routes that I have seen go. Just like, it's not good. Just like kind of giving bad reviews for the sake of giving bad reviews or offering substitutions. Let's unpack that second example a little bit more. Someone who is saying, don't buy this is still an influencer. They're influencing you to buy, let's remove dupes from the conversation, an alternative, a less expensive alternative. Honey, if you can get 20 people to buy the less expensive things through your affiliate links, it's about the same thing as getting one person to buy the really expensive thing through affiliate links. People still profit off of you buying the lesser expensive thing. Now, that's to say there are obviously people who are on TikTok who are telling you to buy a lesser expensive alternative that might not have affiliate links, that might not be a person who considered an influencer. But what happens when that person gains traction? And maybe they start making a series about buy this lesser expensive alternative. I bet they're going to be like, wow, this is a lot of work for me to do. I would love to get paid for it. And I bet it wouldn't be long before that person opens a shop on my shelf. And that's okay. I do think that people who are doing whatever work they are like doing on the internet, whatever that may look like for them, deserve to be compensated for it. This stuff is not easy to do. It's time consuming. And most of the time, it doesn't make you as much money, especially when you're at the level that I am, many smaller people. And especially I think on TikTok, because the creator fund is like a weird thing that I don't have a lot of time to explain, nor do I know a lot about. But may I refer you to Swell Entertainment, where she breaks down the creator fund in a more succinct way than I could. Unlike how we get paid AdSense on YouTube, the creator fund is like a finite thing and it doesn't pay very well. So I can understand why TikTok creators would do affiliate links and want to do affiliate links and want to partner, do partnerships and all of that. And then people who are just giving bad reviews for the sake of bad reviews in order to decrease hype for a product. Is that genuine? In those cases, is it a person who has actually tried the product? So we've kind of defined things. We've given some background about the trend of de-influencing and what it's currently looking like now. So let's talk about the parallels that we've seen. I'm not new to the YouTube sphere, the stratosphere. I started watching beauty YouTube content in 2016. 2016 is a really wild year for beauty. It's the year that Modern Renaissance came out and made eyeshadow palettes the thing that every brand needed to have and really kind of changed the game. Kind of like the Naked palettes did years before Modern Renaissance. This started like a boom in a way that I think we hadn't seen in the beauty industry in some time. Now, I was fresh to the industry, and so I just thought this is how the beauty industry always was. But I feel like I have learned that there was like a before times and an after times. This would be like the second wave of beauty influencing. There's definitely like a first gen, and I don't know those people. Like I know of those people, but I never really watched those people. But the second gen, I feel like I watched, right? We had Tati, Manny, Laura Lee, Jeffree Star, and these people were product pushing product, telling us what was the best, telling us what we needed, etc., etc. It was to the point where all of us were buying all of this makeup, and no one seemed to be the voice of reason to tell us to stop, because we all thought that we should have beauty rooms, and we all thought that we should have makeup collections so large that they take up so much space. Not once ever talking about or considering that these products do expire, and not once did the influencers that we watch ever really explicitly make it known that it's not normal for people to have makeup collections the sizes that they did. But they knew that people were aspiring to what they had, so they would review a lot of product and brands would pay them to give their products good reviews, etc., etc. There came a breaking point. Enter Kimberly Clark's anti-haul series. If you're not familiar, I don't know that Kimberly Clark was the first person to do an anti-haul, and I'm not going to say that Kimberly Clark is the first person who did anti-consumerism content on YouTube, because I don't believe that that is true. But in the beauty space, Kimberly Clark at least popularized the idea of an anti-haul. So I watched a couple anti-hauls from Kimberly Clark today, and I watched them in real time. I remember when they came out, and I remember thinking, yes, 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 yes. When I was watching Kimberly's anti-haul series, I watched a couple, and I did an early one, like, and a middle one, and like one of her last ones to get a vibe. And I think it was her anti-haul number 15. In the opening of that video, it was where she kind of blew up, and Jackie Aina had just done an anti-haul on her channel. And also Jackie gave credit to Kimberly. So, Kimberly's audience started growing, more eyes on Kimberly's anti-haul series. And Kimberly obviously very much knew that this anti-haul series was doing well for her. Why do we think it did well for her? Because it was an alternative to what we were seeing. It was the opposite of all the content we had been consuming. Not only that, Kimberly was really succinct, and she did a lot. She made it very fun to watch her content. But let it be known that Kimberly Clark's content was politically motivated and anti-consumerist. And that was the heart of what the anti-haul was for her, and how she defined it and what it was for her content. I don't think that's what de-influencing is. And I don't think that's what de-influencing is trying to be. If you're offering an alternative, that's not anti-consumerism. That's like conscious consumerism, or maybe smarter consumerism, but it's not consumerism. When Kimberly Clark would do her anti-haul series, and she would tell you when she thought products were beautiful, but she also would tell you when products she thought were stupid. And almost every time, kind of at any price point, drugstore or not, Kimberly was saying that it was too expensive and it wasn't worth your money. Now, obviously, Kimberly Clark is a drag performer, and she has to wear makeup to do that. And she was very considerate about the purchases that she makes, right? There's no way for Kimberly Clark to be a drag performer without purchasing beauty products. However, she's looking for high performance. She's looking for things that she knows that's going to work, and things that are going to give her longevity and do that for her. And what her anti-haul series was really doing was trying to help us, trying to help the people who viewed the anti-haul content, trying to help us give perspective to our purchasing habits. But what I think happened instead, whenever Kimberly Clark did this, is we saw a sassy drag queen telling us not to buy things, and it was funny. And it was like, oh, isn't it so fun to be angry at beauty brands for a second? But then we would still buy more. We would still buy stuff, and we would still buy the stuff that we watched Kimberly anti-haul. And Jackie Aina probably ended up reviewing stuff that she anti-hauled, and it became a trend. And so we saw bigger influencers doing this anti-haul trend, but they were doing the anti-haul trend because it was what people were asking them to do, and it was what was popular in the moment. And as an influencer, you really want to stay relevant, because the more relevant you are, the more people have eyes on you. So you're at least making AdSense money if you're not making affiliate money by doing an anti-haul. You're still getting eyes on you. You're still getting AdSense, and it behooves you to follow trends, which is why you see the same sound over and over again on TikTok. That's why you see the same products going viral, because if one person went viral talking about the product, the more people who talk about it, the more options there are for people to watch. You're likely to get a better viewership. And this is the same thing on YouTube. I mean, we don't have sounds here on YouTube, but very similar. And so I can recall watching Kimberly Clark's anti-haul series and going, yeah, not going to buy that. And like, she talked, and I think that Kimberly did do, and I didn't watch this one today, but I think Kimberly Clark's channel existed around the time that Pat McGrath's brand started. And I remember I swear to God, I remember Kimberly Clark anti-hauling Pat McGrath. And I said, yeah, that's expensive. And then I proceeded to like follow that brand and buy up from that brand for the foreseeable future, going into debt, buying makeup, even though I felt like I was following along with what Kimberly Clark was doing. But no, but deep down inside, the consumerist inside of me was like, I need to have enough makeup to fill a beauty room. And I like couldn't shake that feeling. So like, did the anti-haul work? No, not really. I think it's more effective now on YouTube, but I also think the demographic of a YouTube viewer in the beauty sphere is a little bit older. I'm 32. A lot of the content creators I watch are in their 30s or 40s or in their late 20s. And I think by that time in our life, we now have a firmer concept of the value of a dollar. And so maybe, and we also wisened up and we're like, we don't need to have rooms to be beauty rooms, and we can consume content of people who do have beauty rooms and have a lot of makeup and provide value by having that lot of makeup, by being able to make comparisons for us to be smarter consumers. But that was like work that we did and like growth that we had to do. It wasn't really the responsibility. Like, it's not like the content creator could solve that problem for us. I see a lot of comparisons to the anti-haul from the de-influencing trend, but I don't think it's exactly the same, because I think the way that Kimberly started that as also a way to combat the hyper consumerism that was happening in the beauty space, but it was much more politically charged and like motivated in those ways. And I think the de-influencing trend is more of just like we're fed up with this and I don't want to buy the things that everyone's buying and I don't want to buy that and I don't want to do that. And I'm not trying to be dismissive and say that it's like young people are stupid and don't realize this. I didn't use that voice to like insinuate that, but it's just like that's how I feel. I feel like it's kind of like, oh no, we're not gonna buy anything anymore. But I think the more interesting thought is, why aren't you buying anymore? And like, saying that you don't want to spend $50 on a bronzer is enough. That's enough of a reason. Isn't it more interesting to be like politically charged? Or isn't it more interesting to kind of take the route that Kimberly Clark did? I had this big fear that I was going to get lumped into the de-influencing trend, as if I haven't been making content the way that I have been making content for 2 years now. So I've been making content about buying less, being smarter about our purchases for the past 2 years. And I wouldn't say that that's a trend, because my channel continues to grow at a rate that I enjoy. And it's not like I'm the only content creator on this platform who's doing this type of content. But I wouldn't say what I do or what some other creators that I hold in high regard that do similar work that I do here on this platform, I wouldn't call us de-influencers. So let me talk about what I do. In my content, whenever I am reviewing a product, I'm buying it fresh. And I never want to approach something like, I bought it so you don't have to. But what I try to do is use a product many times on camera, or wearing it on my face many times on camera, even if I'm not applying it on camera in real time. So that way you, as a viewer of my content, and also me, gets a good grasp on how things are going with me and the product. How much do I like the product? Do I think it's a good product, first and foremost? But two, this is sometimes I think the thing that we miss out on, larger content creators who we would just kind of classically describe as a straight up influencer that's just trying to push product. What we don't often see is follow up from them or consistent use. So something that's pretty jarring, or that used to be pretty jarring, because I don't watch this content anymore, so I don't know how much of it's getting made. But I'm gonna use Manny as an example. This is like not to like shade him specifically, but it's like the kind of content that he has made in the past. Manny will be doing content all month, making content, and all you see new stuff all the time. At the end of the month or the very beginning of the following month, my monthly favorites. And it's like, well, I only saw you use any of these things one time. And so when we can't watch the evolution of your growth and relationship with that, how am I supposed to get a grasp of how much value I might get out of it. We're all different. And like my preferences are my preferences when it comes to makeup, but I try to communicate those things as best I can because I know how easy it is to get swept up when someone's like very exaggeratedly telling me that I need something or that this is the best thing. I feel compelled to purchase it. I want that. I want the best. I want the best because I want the best for me. And for me to get the best, if I have to buy that thing to get the best and have the best results, then I'm going to buy that thing. And that's me. That's how that like that makeup monster bubbles up inside of me. That's what happens when I see people using that verbiage. That works on me. So now I'm not saying I never, because there is content on my channel where I didn't feel this way, but I've grown and this is how I do feel about this way. So I try to approach creating my content and doing my reviews in such a way where it's like, here's how I feel interacting with this thing. Here's how my relationship with this thing has evolved over the course of a month. And so my review, I would say like, I'm kind of like a slower beauty influencer. I want to give full credit of the term slow beauty to my friend Stephanie, aka the Style Stumbler, here on this platform. Make sure you go follow Stephanie. She's like the absolute best. I think she's on tour right now, so she's not really uploading, but she is approaching her makeup in slow beauty this year. And so that's where I picked up that term. I don't think I credit her in the footage that I filmed, so I just wanted to do that here. You don't get my final thoughts for a while, but you never stop seeing those items getting used on my channel either. Like I'm consistently using them. I'm using them off camera. I'm using them on camera. I think that's like, that to me, that's like the important stuff that I do. But by the time I do review it, even if I don't like something, I'm going to try to tell you the best I can the reasons why I don't like it and not so much like I just hate it. And I'm going to try to tell you the good things about it too, because my preferences are my preferences. So if I have an experience that sounds bad, but you can listen to me talk about it and take away from that it might be a product that works for you because I have oily skin, I have fair skin, I'm not acne prone, I don't really have the concern of texture, like the signs of aging haven't really hit me hard yet. So maybe you can take away from what I'm talking about, you can take away and be like, that actually sounds like it would work for me. Would I call myself a de-influencer? No. I love shopping. I love buying makeup products. I love touching new makeup products. I love putting new makeup products on my face. But for me and my personal experience in this beauty world on the internet, I know how easy it is to get got. So I try to curate my content as much as I can to never make you feel like you need to impulsively buy something that I'm using. Even if I love something, I'm not going to tell you it's the best. I'm going to tell you it's my favorite. I can tell you that. Like I can say, this is my favorite thing and here's why it's my favorite thing versus maybe another thing that is less of a favorite thing. Because we're all going to have preferences. We're all going to have our favorite things. But I'm never going to be the one who puts on some foundation and goes, right away. Because when I'm trying new things, when I'm trying things for the first time, even when I like them the first time I try them, it's like more of like oh wow, this is really doing something for me, but not like this has changed my life, because I don't know if it has. And it probably wouldn't. Like I can't tell you that the first time I use something. What do we do? What do we do as consumers of content? Oh, and consumers of beauty and people who buy makeup products. I never want to suck the joy out of makeup or consuming makeup. But what I do want to do is like give you a more realistic expectation of like what it's going to feel like when you buy these things, etc, etc. But if I was a de-influencer, I would never tell you that it's worth your money or not worth your money, or I wouldn't do that. I would just straight up, every time something came across my desk, I'd be like, don't buy this. Or I would be like, this is a stupidly priced thing, buy this thing instead. And that doesn't feel very genuine. I feel like that feels like very disingenuous, because remember, even Kimberly Clark, the queen of the anti-haul, which was literally about not buying the thing, still had to buy makeup sometimes, right? You still have, like, you're like, if makeup is your thing, you're gonna run out of foundation at some point. You're gonna need to re-up on mascara. There are other things that I feel like once you buy them, it's going to take you a much longer time to get through them. There's always a response, right? The reason we have Project Pans is because there are people who realize that it's like, oh wow, makeup actually takes a long time to get through. I'm going to make content that is like supportive and encourages other people to use up their makeup. Let's Project Pan together. I think two things need to happen, or I would like for two things to happen. Us as consumers, we need to be a little bit smarter. We need to read through the lines. And I know that's a hard ask. It's fun to get swept up in emotion. It's fun to get swept up in, that's the best thing ever. It's going to change my life. It's going to be the best thing ever. Oh my God, I love it so much. It feels good. It feels right. It feels just whenever we get swept up in the feeling. And it's fun to get swept up in the negative too. It's like, this thing is so stupid. Why would anyone spend X amount of dollars on this stupid thing? It's like, that's fun to get swept up in too. But we need to like fight the urge, right? We need to fight the urge. Where do we place the fault? On the content creators, the influencers, or the consumers? And I think we're kind of both at fault here. And at fault, it feels like too big. At fault, I don't really like that verbiage. But like, we're both a little bit responsible. That influencer, while they said it was the best product, if you went and bought it and didn't like it, retrospectively, was that the influencer's fault or was that your own fault? Like, did you, like who's to blame? And the influencers, I think, are at fault is because they're not giving the best experience reviews. I find this to be less of a problem on YouTube. And that also could be a matter of who I follow and who I choose to watch regularly. Even people who review a lot of new makeup that I watch, they do it in a way that I find very easy for me to not get swept up in what they're saying, because their approach to beauty is different than mine. Maybe us as consumers, whenever we get this swept up feeling, we step away from all content creators, all of them. We step away from all of them, unfollow all of them. Just, we don't watch YouTube for a while, even though those are our friends, because I know the parasocial relationship is real. I know. I have been there. But we then have to, while we step away, create our own relationship with our beauty items, how much we want to spend on beauty, and really know that. And then when we come back to our friends on the internet, our people who review beauty, we come back with the strength and knowledge to know what we are looking for from those reviewers, from that kind of content. I hope that makes sense. Like, you come back in. So like, whenever I did my no buy, it was to be like a refresh. And I'm not suggesting that everyone goes on a no buy, but when I came back to purchasing, it felt really nice to not spend as much as I had before. And it was like nice to also be able to buy again, because I like to shop for beauty. Like, it's fun. I like to do it. Last year, over the course of that year, after I had changed my relationship with beauty consumerism by not buying things for 6 months, I made much wiser purchasing decisions. And a lot of the stuff that I ended up buying last year ended up being really good. And I really liked it. And you know why? And you know why that was it? Because whenever I was watching other content creators, or whenever I was reading about beauty items to make purchases, and whenever I was seeing the advertisements from the beauty brands, I knew what to look for and I knew how to smell out the bullshit. And so that's what we have to do, is when we're watching content creators, we have to sniff out the bullshit. And it feels really easy for us who have been here and we've seen the Tati of it all. We've seen the Jeffrey of it all. We've seen the ups and downs of all these creators who have done this, like Jaclyn Hill of it all. Like, you know, like we've seen it. It's like we've been there, done that. But just remember, at one point, just like these people on TikTok who are consuming the way that we maybe once did by watching beauty YouTube, they're still learning. And it's unfortunate because they're all learning together on a different platform, while many content creators here on YouTube have been trying to, for a while, be like, no, that's not it. Because a lot of this is like one of the downfalls of short form content, which is like not really what this video is about. But one of the downfalls of short form content is that it has to be high energy and it has to be incredibly reactive, which is again how you get swept up in those really large emotions that people are having whenever they're talking about beauty on there. Most of the time, it's the first time that person is applying that item. It's almost always a first impression. And how are you supposed to get any valuable information from that? All you can really discern from a first impression is let's say about a foundation, you can determine coverage and what the finish is like. And that's about it for a first impression on a foundation. The most important information that I want to know about foundation is its longevity and how it looks at the end of the day. Like, those are really important things when it comes to a foundation. That's an important thing when it comes to eyeshadow. Like, how pigmented is it on when you put it on? Is it that pigmented at the end of the day? Did it slide around your face? If I talk about something and it's really great, And you watch me develop that relationship with it. And as I'm being very honest with you about how I feel about these products, as I'm like navigating them and learning them and reporting back to you on a regular basis, if it's exciting for you to buy that thing, I want you to be excited about that purchase. And I want you to be excited when that thing arrives and that when you open it and when you interact with it. And it's not perfect. It's not a perfect system that we have going here at all, because I can't guarantee that you'll buy the thing and feel the same way I feel about the thing. And that's like just the truth of the matter. But I'm going to do my best to try to convey as much information to you over a period of time to help you make the best decision that you can based on my experience. And I don't think that's de-influencing. I think that's just like smart influencing. And that's what I would like to see more of. Because if people were being honest and reporting back and using products regularly on camera, we can understand. So I'm going to use a couple of examples from what I see from other influencers. And I'm going to particularly use influencers who don't really do what I do. Creators who are not trying to like promote smart buying, conscious consumerism, etc. I say that's going to sound like a dig, but I'm not. So I watch Khaki Reviews Beauty. And so Khaki reviews beauty. She reviews a lot of new makeup. But one thing that I know about Khaki is that her favorite foundation right now is the Sublimage Le Temps. And I know that because she uses it in every video. She uses it in every video. Teresa is Dead reviews a lot of new products all the time. But you know what? I know her favorite primer is the Thorn Oil from Ritual Defeat. Whenever I see people using these products over and over again, I'm like, that must be a really good product. And like both Teresa and Khaki do report back on things that they have tried, and like after they have tried it over time, they do report back, but they review a lot more new stuff than I do. And they're not always using things over and over again on their channel, kind of like you see on mine. They are both trying to give you as well-rounded of an experience with as much product as they can. That's where I think the more of the responsibility comes on me, is like whenever I watch Khaki review a bunch of new stuff or try a bunch of new stuff in a video, and it's like her third time using it, because she like never does first impressions. It's normally like the third or fourth time she gives you a little bit of a well-rounded experience. But I want to see like more, I just want to see more content creation like that, where it's like, even if you are reviewing all of the new things, make sure you come back and tell me like that was worth it or that's not worth it. But don't tell me that the first time you use it, because that feels like a little bit moot. Like it feels like a little bit moot. And I think on YouTube, because we have the benefit of long form content and like have the time and space to do those things, it's a little bit easier to do here, and a little it feels like almost a little less preachy here too, because it's like you can just kind of just do really thorough reviews, and then people can be like, yes, that thing sounds like it will work out for me. But like on TikTok, it's like you don't really stand a chance with like 1 to 3 minute long videos. And you know people aren't going to watch a 3-minute long video about a makeup item on TikTok. You get less than 15 seconds to like really catch people's attention. And that's how we ended up in this cycle. Like that's how we ended up this cycle on YouTube. It's how TikTok has ended up in this cycle. I don't really know that I have a solution for like what's after TikTok. What is the content creation platform that comes after TikTok? Because TikTok is monetizing in a really weird way right now. I don't know about the longevity of TikTok, but what do we do when the thing, whatever post TikTok, whatever the app is that's post TikTok, when they start talking about beauty, how do we as people who once used TikTok or once are on beauty YouTube or are still on beauty YouTube? But I think like right now the thought is the current trend is like people are going to like leave TikTok and come back to YouTube. But like, how do we prevent this from happening in the future? Or is this just the natural cycle of things? It does just feel like the crash has to happen for people to have understanding. Like the crash has already happened on YouTube. And when the crash happened, it was like the beauty community is dead. And it's like, that's not true. That's not true. The beauty community isn't dead. The beauty community just doesn't look the same as it once did. And it might not be as large as it once was, because we all bought all this makeup and now we don't know what to do with it. And so maybe making content about the newest stuff all of the time isn't the most beneficial to those people who have been watching YouTube for the past 10 years, like beauty YouTube for the past 10 years. That's all. It just like changes, it expands, it grows. And like if the beauty community was dead, then the TikTok beauty community never would have happened. It's just in a different place. So that's a lot of food for thought. De-influencing really, I think, just shines a light on the cycles that we see I just don't, I'm not trying to be hopeless here. I just don't know how we prevent this from the next thing because I feel like when TikTok was about to have it, it was like people on YouTube were shouting to them. And I'm not trying to say that the people on TikTok weren't listening to us. They just weren't on YouTube. But also, like, if they did see that, if they saw one of us going, no, it's happening to you, don't let it happen, like, fix it now, they would just have been like, that won't happen on TikTok. Like, that's not going to happen on TikTok. Because, like, that's probably what we would have done on YouTube 6 years ago. Oh, that's not happening. There's not going to be any crap. Anyway, I need to wrap up this commentary video because now I'm no longer talking about de-influencing. You know, there's just a lot to think about. There's a lot there. There's a lot of juice. So, what do you think about the de-influencing trend? Are you pro de-influencing? Are you negative de-influencer? Do you think I'm a de-influencer? Who do you think is a de-influencer if I'm not a de-influencer? Is there actually a way to exist in the beauty space as someone who talks about beauty? Is there any way to do this that isn't influencing in some capacity? Because even if I'm influencing you not to buy something, that's still influencing, baby. Well, that's that on that. Thank you so much for watching. If you are new to my channel, I would love to have you subscribe. Sometimes this is what I do. I take a concept, we talk about it, I go all the way down, and then we get to the point where it's like, how do we change behaviors? Which is like ultimately what I think many of us are trying to do. So I'd love to have you subscribe. Go ahead and do that. Make sure you like this video. As I said earlier, it's the best way to support me or any other content creator that you enjoy on the platform. Would love to hear you sound off in the comments down below. And I'm also on Patreon if you'd like to support me there. Again, thank you to all of my current patrons. I appreciate you. And I also appreciate any of you who are still watching this video all the way up until the end. Remember to follow your host. Oh, it's my wrong hand. To follow your host, and you will find me. Okay, they're playing me off. The lights are flashing. Bye-bye.